If you enjoy the subject matter of these podcasts, then you would definitely enjoy any of the 3 Patreon discussion groups that are available. You can read about these groups by going to the infinitesparkofbeing.com and clicking the participate button. I also offer a meditation group every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern. You can go to any of my social media profiles and find a link tree with that information as well. This is a community of everyday people who are interested in living with a deeper understanding of spiritual practice and how it can be applied in a practical sense to our everyday lives. So join us.
Welcome to the Infinite Spark of Being podcast. My name is Keith Welsh, and in this episode, we're going to talk about a few things. 2 of those things, meditation, mysticism, and the changes occurring in this podcast to the Infinite Spark of Being. When I started the Infinite Spark of Being, it was a blog, and the blog was meant to share my adventure up the mountain with people who maybe didn't have access to all of the teachers and the things that I had access to. I was in a very unique position, and the place I was living in offered all these different things. It was, Florida, I've mentioned it before, is a vortex, and a lot of energy congregates here. People make their jokes, but whether you like it or not, the southernmost Karmakagu lineage site is in Florida, in Gainesville, Florida, where I was living. The largest congregation of Hare Krishnas in North America is in Alachua County, Florida. Michael Singer, the author of The Untethered Soul and the Surrender Project, has the Temple of the Universe in Alachua County, Florida. And there's countless other groups and enclaves of spiritual seekers. I was living in that area, and at the time was primed to just explore, and to talk to anybody that I could talk to, and to listen to anybody I could listen to. So the point was to share my experience with someone who's maybe in the middle of the country, in a church life that maybe didn't jive with what they felt like I did. I imagine, young people like me, years and years ago, when I was living in a Baptist, situation, when I was going to a Baptist church, going to a Baptist school, and being mistreated, and none of it making sense, and me wanting to, I would have given anything, at that time. It was before the internet, right? And even when I started the Infinite Spark of Being, I don't think the internet was it's not what it is now, right? It's the exponential growth with the internet is crazy. Anyway, as the book came out, as I began working in mental health and addiction, I wanted to share these truths with the world. But I wanted to do it in a way that everyone could do it, participate, get into it, understand it. And that is why, I almost said cause, but it's not the cause, it's just my own stuff gets in the way. It resulted in me not being forthright with you guys as people who appreciate the work that I do. I have danced around things, played around with things, but never just outright said things that I believe to be true, that I've experienced in my own life. The mystical side of things gets overlooked here a lot. Even when I discuss God, it's the way I talk about God, and the way I've talked about God in the past is not really how I feel about it. I know God as a concept. If I'm honest, then it's a concept. I don't understand God as a anthropomorphized being. I understand God as the way Vishnu is described in the Vedas, right? These things are presented to us in a personified, anthropomorphized way so that the human mind can wrap its head around it. No pun intended. And that explanation of God has meant the most to me. In our group, I think it was last Wednesday, I told the story of, my first shrine and how I ended up in this situation and what I did for it. And it was a funny story. And the reality is that like I've always had like a bhakti yoga heart, a devotional heart. Bhakti meaning devotion. When I kind of parted ways, not really parted ways, but stopped going to the Krishna temple and started going to that Kagyu lineage Sangha and took refuge and all these things, Buddhism allowed me to understand God, understand the Gita, understand the Vedas better. All of this being said, the reason I'm telling you this is because at some point this podcast, as it is presented now, will cease to, I will not be doing more episodes of this. I will be starting a new podcast soon, probably in some correlation with the book being done and all that, where I do plan on being a little more forthright with things and not being so diplomatic. And am I being diplomatic, or am I just short shrifting you? Am I shortchanging you guys, or am I being diplomatic? Well, there's a piece of me that believes that there's folks out there that are on the fence, and I know for a fact that they can benefit from the things that I talk about. My clients benefit from these things, and some of them, they're not all like super spiritual woo-woo kind of people. Some of them do not participate in the online gatherings. Some of them don't participate in this or that, but we talk one-on-one, and they do have a belief, whatever, but they might just skirt around spirituality, and that's fine. There's something in it, and they still get something out of this. And my goal was to always present this material in a way that everyone could get something out of it. And that's where I'm at. I think that I need to lean a little bit more into, not lean into, but I need to be more open with my own feelings and beliefs about things. For instance, prayer, manifestation, and the law of attraction have completely and utterly changed my life. It is real, it is true, and it does work. This is what a lot of the work that I do with people one-on-one is around that, where I'm a little more open about things, again, depending on where they are. Even if they're not there, they can still benefit from these practices. Even the people that have no spiritual understanding whatsoever still benefit from it. Their life still changes. So that's my goal, from here on out. So when it comes to meditation and mysticism, you cannot, so I've had mystical experiences, continue to experience paranormal and mystical experiences. And what is the good of the mystical experience? The reason I never lead with this stuff when it comes to meditation or anything else is because I don't want you, the listener or the participant, to get bogged down in whether you're doing it right or not based on whether you're having a weird experience. I came into this 28 years ago kind of that way. And there was a lot of discouragement, a lot of just, kind of like, this isn't working, and why am I not having this experience that's described in this book or this thing? And, and a lot of that is laziness. Let me explain. A lot of times when I've described some of these things and people are like, I've tried and this isn't happening. And it's like, yeah, but you're discounting the years and years and hours put into this. But again, if I lead with that, it'll discourage the people that just want a quick fix. And even those of you that want a quick fix will benefit from these practices. You know, there's benefit there, but not, if you don't start, there's no benefit. So I've always hesitated in leading with these things. So you will not, if there's no method of quieting your mind, or really what's happening is you're letting the mind quiet itself by being patient and allowing it to be noisy and allowing it to move through things and simply holding space as an awareness for the mind and for the body, you're not going to progress. You're not going to notice changes because you're too busy. Aleister Crowley understood that yoga and meditation were vital to his magical practice. Everyone understands this. Everyone from Aleister Crowley to Thomas Merton to the Dalai Lama to you name it. If you can't just allow the mind to go without needing to control it, force it, change it, then this is all going to be very difficult. There's also no way to shape the mind or to shape your thoughts without a method of observing the mind. Observe the mind, shape your thoughts, transform your reality. That's what we're doing here. You have to start by observing, and you have to learn to be the observer without having all these opinions, fears, and feelings around this thing. As you quiet, as you learn to observe, the noise settles down. The loud, scared thinking gets quieter. It slows down. And then what starts to happen is the still small voice within that the Quakers in the book of Ezekiel, it's the voice of God, the divine mind, the truth. Your soul starts to speak what your true curriculum is.
If you believe that you would benefit from working with me one-on-one on anxiety, ruminating thinking, grief and loss, or stress management, then shoot me an email or a direct message. Or if you're interested in learning about how meditation and spiritual practice can transform your reality and in turn change your life, then again, please reach out through email or direct message.
The rest of that noise is karmic stuff. You have a samskara, a personality, and a bit of a curriculum in that way, and the karma comes up as furthering your curriculum. And what those karmas look like, it's your attractions and aversions. But as you get quiet, that kind of heavy chatter of the organism that you inhabit as soul gets a little quieter. And you start to hear your truth. You hear yourself. Capital S, the soul. That's you, and you start to hear yourself. I don't know if yourself split it up and capitalize S or capitalize Y, but you start to hear yourself, the real you, not the organism that you inhabit with all of its biological imperatives, which are all rooted in fear and scaredy stuff, and no, I can't do that because then this is going to happen, and I can't take this chance because who do you think you are? You're not that special. But in the divine mind, God speaks. What we understand is that Atman, the human being, the organism, realizes its identity as Atman. Atman realizes its identity as Paramatman, meaning that you as when you think you're this blood and guts organism, it's that thing's duty to remember who you are, that you are soul. Or you as the awareness that sits inside the organism starts to go, wait a minute, I'm not this thing. I'm soul. I'm awareness. I am the soul with a capital S. And then through study, through whatever, you start to realize that you're God, or at least part and parcel of that thing that is in constant creation, that is the wellspring, the fountainhead of everything. You have to pardon me, I'm entering a strange spot here. The police are kind of out in force today. I don't know what's happening here. Always something. This is in a very wealthy area, so I can't imagine what's could possibly be going on here. Oh no. I'm sorry. There's like 25 kids pushed into a vacant lot on BMX bikes. There's like 5 cops. I don't know if where you live these kids happen, but there's like herds of children on BMX bikes doing wheelies down the street. And I can only imagine what the fuck happened when they took a cruise down A1A in one of the most wealthy areas and tried to pull that shit. Bro, you gotta mind your P's and Q's when you're in South Palm Beach. We're not even into the real Palm Beach yet. We're just on the south one. These fucking cops are not playing, so, you know, if you live in this area, chill. Gotta fly under the radar. You definitely, they will find something. That one time I was arrested on a clerical error was by a police officer in one of these areas. Anyway, I digress. So when we get quiet, we begin to hear the truth. That's when our life starts to change through certain methods. So the meditation being the core of these methods. The journaling, the japa meditation, all of these things, Sanskrit, the chanting and the mantra, and it's all there to begin to wake you up. I believe the teacher Ramakrishna, he said, I think it was Ramakrishna, who talked about kirtan, which is call and response singing, you know. He said that kirtan is like, you know, seeds that get spread on these mud roof houses in India, and the seed gets planted and the tree starts to grow and the roots come down and it cracks the house open so that the sunlight comes in. That's what these practices do. They plant these seeds. You know, and if you have, and you know, it says in the Gita that if you have an attraction to these things, that essentially you have a past with it. And that to even think about meditation is better than someone who doesn't. But you're drawn to it for a reason. There's a lot of people that live in the world, in this grabby whatever world, that have no interest in meditation, they have no interest in spiritual development, they have no interest in hatha yoga, they have no interest in any of it. They just check the box, they move on to the next thing. That's their deal, and that's fine. To even have the slightest interest, the fact that you're even listening to this shows that you have a relationship with this material. That your soul is like, well, this is familiar. Oh, this is that thing. This is me. It's waking me up, and those things are very, very important. And that's what is happening. You're seeing, something in you is seeing this. It's familiar with this stuff. It's familiar with meditation. It's familiar with these spiritual ideas. Because it knows, it's like, oh, I'm not this thing. And this thing, this organism, it's not a mistake. This isn't a cosmic whoopsie-doo that you took birth. You know, and you thinking that it is going to be a problem for you. I'd let go of that if I were you and start to see the beauty and the purpose in all of these things. You know, without that, I don't know how life works without a spiritual component. Without a spiritual component, this is all just crazy town, in my opinion. But I think that most of you have an interest in a more mystical understanding of these things, and I can appreciate that, and I just caution you, right? Like they always say, like it's dangerous to share your experiences, especially if you're teaching, because then people begin to expect those experiences. I did the same thing. My experiences are different than other experiences. Well, you know, actually, one of our community members shared with me an experience that they had that could be considered a paranormal, mystical experience. And I've had a similar experience. I was like, wow, you know, I've been there. You know, that's a thing. You know, it's a phenomena that can occur. And what do these experiences tell us? for me, all of the, not crazy, but the paranormal, mystical, these things let us know that we're on the right track. And until you're looking for them, they don't happen. Or they're happening and you don't notice because you're not looking. You know, it's funny, one time I saw an anomalous object in the sky. And I was told by someone at the time, that was in my life at the time, that, oh, you saw it because you were looking for it. And all I could think was, that's about as stupid as when someone dismisses something and says, that's just placebo. That's just as stupid. I saw it because I was looking for it. You wake up because you want to. You see beauty because you're looking for it. You see shit because you're looking for it. That's the fly in the honeybee, right? The honeybee looks for sweetness and the housefly looks for shit, looks for rot, so it finds it. So you start to notice these things, but you also can't expect these things. There's a line in the Srimad Bhagavatam, maybe it's a paraphrase of something in the Gita, I don't exactly remember. But it's the idea that Krishna reveals himself to his true devotees to increase their hankering for him. You know, and this stuff we're dealing with is interesting because there are shared experiences, there are realizations, and all of it goes to show us that there's more. You know, one of the books I prescribed to our group for the Insight group was, as we study the Gitas, The Eternal Way by Roy Eugene Davis. For those of you listening that I did prescribe it to you that did buy it and begin reading it, I apologize. I wish I had never done it. It's a fucking... Roy's keyboard lost its comic key, and if somebody could mail him one, that would probably be super helpful. But he mentioned some stuff that he's a direct disciple of Paramahansa Yogananda. Paramahansa Yogananda famously wrote Autobiography of a Yogi, which is a fantastic book, and there's something about that book that changes the way you think, and I don't know what it is. I mean, I know what it is, but I don't know what it is. Anyway, but they talk about these spheres of light that are witnessed during meditation, and one of our group members brought it up. They're like, hey, I read this, and I'm like, ugh. They talk about what each color represents, and you know, it's probably the first time that I've really, I don't know, openly said, yeah, that's a thing. You know, it's like white, gold, or blue, and the one that I see is always blue, which is interesting. I'm about to hit some water, so this might sound weird. Those of you watching on YouTube, I got a lot of sun today, so I probably freshly look pretty red. I don't know if I'm apologizing or just noticing. But anyway, so these experiences are there, you're going to have them. But you're going to have to get through all of the minutia, all of the learning and all of the stuff. Anyway, so expect me to be more open about those things in the future. I apologize if it's you know, if I've been too clinical or weird about certain things. It was just in an effort to make things doable for everybody, because if I could say the purpose or the goal, maybe just say the intention of the infinite spark of being is to, you know, show regular people that spiritual practice and spiritual understanding is possible and doable in your day-to-day life. You don't need to sell everything and leave your family, and you don't have to do that. It's right here, it's right now, and the stuff that I work on with you guys one-on-one is to give you guys practices that work within your day-to-day life that allow your life to change. So observe your mind, shape your thoughts, transform your reality. Reality starts to change when you do those other things. Anyway, I love you. I love you. I love you. Thank you for giving me your time. I'm very, very grateful. And the future's going to be interesting. We're going to change a few things. So, all right. Bye-bye.
If you enjoy this content and would like to support the further creation of this content, go to the website, theinfinitesparkofbeing.com. There you can explore the many ways you can do that. Also, click the About button, read a little bit about me, see what I have to offer you in terms of one-on-one sessions. And while you're at it, don't forget to check out the Patreon tiers. We are building a spiritual community of everyday people with not so everyday interests. So go ahead and check out the participate button on the website and join us.